Hi students, here we are in week 3. We are just trucking right along, and this week we really get into our first unit and into the actual curriculum of AS English 9. Our first unit explores the question, what makes a community? And we do this by kind of thinking about what communities we are a part of individually, and by doing that, hopefully we build a little classroom community as well, because we will get to see all of our individual communities kind of come together as our AS English 9 class. So I just want to quickly click through the materials and assignments that you will be responsible for this week. And obviously the first half of this week is recorded, and then we will meet live the second half of the week. So the first thing that you are going to be listening to or reading is a TED Talk called The Danger of a Single Story. This really is a great, powerful TED Talk that shows us how our experiences kind of influence the ideas that we have about people who are different from us or people who live elsewhere. I really encourage you to watch it and listen to it. I think it's more powerful that way, but I have linked the transcript here. If you do prefer to read it or pull it up and follow along as you listen to her speak, you will want to maybe come back to this transcript eventually anyway, because after this there is a quiz, and I do allow you to use the transcript while you take that quiz. So after the danger of a single story, you do have a comprehension quiz over that. You do have 2 attempts at that, and you can use the transcript so you can look back. And so I really don't think of it as a quiz, but more of just you're answering multiple choice questions about that. So there's like 6 questions, I think, and it should be pretty simple just to kind of, keep you accountable for doing the work there. Your big assignment for this week, I guess you could say, is your community brainstorm assignment. And I haven't embedded the tutorials yet, but they will be there. For this assignment, you have a choice. You have 2 different options, but with each option, you are answering the questions, what makes a community? In other words, what characteristics qualify a community? So is it just based on location, shared interests, shared beliefs, etc.? And then what communities you individually belong to. So option 1, if you're more of a writer, we kind of have an option for writers and we have an option for more visual people. So if you're a writer, you can just kind of free write a paragraph in a Google Doc. You do need to type this, not write it out by hand, but I don't need to actually see this paragraph. I don't need to see the Google Doc. You are just getting your thoughts down on paper. After you do that, you will be using a website that is approved for use in our district called WordArt. And I'm not going to go into that a lot because there will be a tutorial over that. But basically, you'll copy and paste your paragraph into WordArt, and it lets you create kind of a visual, a word cloud visual that you can personalize from there. So that's kind of a fun way to visually represent the communities that you are a part of, but through your writing. The other option is to draw. So these are for my people who maybe are a little more artistic or just prefer paper pencil. You get to draw a community web that you are a part of. You can do it with paper pencil, or you can use Google Draw, and there will be a tutorial embedded there, just a quick one to how to pull up a Google Draw and how to use some of the basic features of that. I have my example of a community web, paper pencil format, posted in the following media album, which I will show you here in just a second. So you have 2 options here, but they're both going to cover the 2 questions, what makes a community and what communities do you belong to? When you are done with your community, with your web or paragraph word art, you will upload the visual to this media album called My Community Visual. We all are able to upload our visual here, okay? And so everybody will be able to see it. Just keep that in mind. I have my example of the web here. And so you can look at that in a little more detail if you're really wanting to understand that better. But there's my example of just a hand-drawn web. You can do the web through Google Draw too, or you can do the word art. Lastly, for the week is your notebook entry, and that's kind of how the weeks will go. You have one final question here that really kind of takes what you did with your community visual and really kind of reflects on that. So how have communities affected you, positive or negatively, because, sometimes we're a community not by choice. And so how have communities affected you? And that can be either positively or negatively. Feel free to reflect on the community, on how the community impacted you during the last 6 months. So we all know for the last 6 months, we were in just a very unusual, we still are in a very unusual environment. Lots of things are going on that we've never experienced before. So feel free to use, our recent events in your answer for your digital notebook entry. Your digital notebook is linked in this assignment. So you should be able to click on this link and it takes you to that, or you can just go into it directly. And then lastly, I just posted a recap here for you. It's kind of nice to have just a really quick, at a glance, what you need to do for this week. And so here's your grades from this week. And then I just remind you of our live meet later in the week. That's all for now, guys. I'm going to get ready to post some tutorials in the community brainstorm assignment, but you can get started.